Hi, welcome to Sisters and Law. I'm Judge T.
And I'm Rosalind Charles.
What are we talking about? We're going to go. Can we have to continue the conversation that we started last week when we said?
I think that we
Yes.
need to, because it's something that it's one, it just continues, and secondly, I think that we need to look at it from a particular
A different
aspect.
perspective, yeah.
And let's start with Al Franken, because one of the things I think that you pointed out off air was that this picture is what has made this such a big deal. The picture of Al Franken trying to grope this particular woman.
You know what? I see that from a different lens than maybe. Actually, the picture is ironically what probably gave the accusations, which are not accusations because he's admitted to it, the actions of Al Franken more traction. But I try not to lump every situation in one big pile.
Right.
Now, that, you know how 45 said that he was doing locker room talk?
Yeah.
Well, that picture to me is more prank nonsense that a comedian would do. And Al Franken at that time was in his comedic issue. I'm not saying that.
So are you equating it to locker room talk?
I'm not equating it to locker room talk, but I am equating it. If we go online right now and look at what types of things that people do with pranks, some of them are about as offensive because it's really the victim and how they feel.
But I think what you brought up is actually key, the room. Who else is in the room and what role do they play? Because we talk about in criminal law, conspiracies. Well,
because Al Franken didn't take that picture of himself.
No, he didn't. And I imagine there were other men, other women in the room at the time also.
Because in the picture, there was actually another man that was sitting next to her that was also asleep. So we know that there were other people, and I'm sure she was the only female on that tour.
So I guess what we really want to say is, how is America complicit in the sexual assault and objectification of women, and the sexual assault and objectification of girls, and sexual harassment also? Because it's not just the individuals, those people that remain silent, that allow this kind of behavior to perpetuate itself.
I think that's very important because one of the things that I think I found that was that we need to consider is the victim, like in the Monica Lewinsky case, and we'll talk about that one in a minute. She came on because she felt embarrassed by it. She felt like in the skit that he's going to conveniently put a kissing scene. But again, this was not something that he did nefariously. She could have just straight up said, I'm not going to do the kissing scene. However, men, when they're getting, let me tell you, Al Franken might think he looked better than he does. And he might think that maybe if only I had a chance, you would get...
Well, I will be complicit in the way she felt when his tongue allegedly went all the way down his throat. I think it's a nasty kind of thing. It's offensive. I mean, this is plain old offenses. People kiss on camera all the time. It's part of the skit. And
people have left their spouses over them sometimes because they've gone to another level.
Yeah.
But this is I think in Al Franken, and I am not saying that how she felt, because like Al Franken said, it's not what I meant, is how you felt about what I did. And that's why he was immediately able to say, I apologize. The other thing is that there is nothing to show that she even ever asked for an apology or that she ever even exposed it until now. And she said that she did not feel that if she exposed it at that time, that that it may have had an effect on her career.
So she is feeling like a lot of the victims that are coming out today. She's feeling empowered by the climate that has been created by this Harvey Weinstein, if you will, era.
But different, as Huckabee said, Al Franken immediately. This is the difference between Al Franken and the president. Is Al Franken admitted to it and the president hasn't. But so I give actually two things. One, Al Franken did apologize. He never once minimized it, said it was a joke, because he said it is not how I feel, it's how she felt. Secondly,
well, he has the lingo down. That doesn't mean that his character has changed. But let's go
however,
on.
but I also have to go by what was his mental thinking at the time, and I believe, again, not saying, but this is how men. That's how stupid they are.
Yeah.
He actually sent that picture to her in the memorabilia of that trip. It is not a picture she found. Not somebody gave it to her after the
Oh,
fact.
he sent it to her. He's
That
like,
picture-
hey, look, I'm groping you. Isn't
No,
this funny?
he can't-
Maybe I'll autograph it for you.
in
Wow.
His, so that tells you
Did he autograph it?
in
I'm
his,
just
in his
curious.
mental thought at the actually time that it happened, she received those pictures and she kept them all these years. And no, she didn't say anything because, you know, if it was so okay with everybody else in the room, you know, maybe in her head, as many women probably feel.
I imagine she was embarrassed.
She was embarrassed.
I imagine that she was horrified.
But I don't think he was hiding something. I think that he was stupid enough to think that it was funny. And you know what? She was woman enough to say, okay, you thought it was funny. I didn't think it was funny. But the fact that you can apologize, a full-throated apology, took him twice, because, you know, the first apology is embarrassment, and the second apology is you need to say something before your ass go down quickly.
Well, I guess now, you know, so we've got Al Franken, a sitting senator who has decided that he needs to be investigated by the Ethics Committee as a result of his behavior, both with this picture as well as his full-throated
You know why?
tongue offense against this woman, and God knows what else he may or may
But
not
this
have
is,
done.
remember what 45 said is that in his non-ability to say anything about anybody else, not Roger Ailes, not Bill
Well,
O'Reilly, not even
45
Moore.
has made it a completely
Or himself.
partisan issue, and of course he is without sin.
But this
according to
is
45.
why I give Al Franken some credit, because nobody knows what you've ever done in the darkness but yourself.
True.
And once you say, I give you permission to shine the light on me, you know what they may or may not find.
That's very true.
And I said, and so I give him credit to say, you know what? If my actions, since I have taken on this role as a senator, has in any way been offensive, because we can't go back to his whole comedic year, because every comedian,
well, you know, they're going back to the history of Roy Moore well before he
Roy
was
Moore
a
was Roy Moore was a prosecutor who prosecuted people like him.
But again, behavior outside of the Senate. Not that he's even there yet. We'll see what the people of Alabama do in terms of voting or not voting.
This is what the reason that Roy Moore is different than even most of these allegations, and the reason why even Clinton.
Yes.
Because you were in a position of legal authority. Clinton is a lawyer. Moore is a lawyer.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that, you know, people should, yeah, but the fact is, and you know that I know that our ethics is a whole different look upon by the judicial system, because we know what is crossing boundaries. When Roy Moore, the one I really understood how, you know, deviant he is when the 14-year-old girl, you know, would not give him his number or give him any information. Mm-hmm. He is so bold in his authority as the DA in Alabama at that time, called her school. The principal actually asked this child to leave out of her class, come to the principal's office to take the call. When she realized it wasn't her father on the phone, she's like, what do you call him? He says, what you doing? She says, I'm intrigued.
Now, Roy Moore claims all of these allegations have been made up. Roy Moore believes that it's some kind of, believe it or not, a right-wing conspiracy against him.
First it was the Democrats.
Right. Because it was the establishment Republicans complicit, I guess, with some Democrats, but it's a right-wing conspiracy. Haven't we heard those words before?
Not only have we heard them before, but we know that
didn't the Clintons
the,
accuse everybody of a right-wing conspiracy?
This is the thing that my issue with the Roy Moore is that these are mostly children, and if I may, his wife was the classmate of one of these girls.
Oh.
Because if you go back in just in numbers,
amazing.
This
so
woman,
she was dating. She may have been dating him at the same time when she was 14. What's the age differentiation between the two?
There's 16 years in the age differentiation.
Okay.
So if you go back, I don't know when he started dating his wife. He didn't marry her until she was legal,
right?
Which is when she was 23.
Right,
I think he was 37.
Right.
But we don't know when it started, because the age group of the girls that he has dealt with in the past.
Last week you talked about this somewhat of a different culture in different parts of the country when it comes to older men and younger girls. Not that it makes it right.
But this dude is creepy, man. Let me tell you, if you believe, I mean, there's that, he's trying to cross that whole Southern Belle kind of thing, saying, oh, I've never dated a girl who I've never got permission by her parents. Well, there was a time when actually in this society, whether we want to embrace it or not, where women were given over after their menstrual cycle to men to wed. So that, yeah.
All right, but let's get back to how America, I believe, is complicit in this whole sexual assault, sexual harassment of women. And we're not discounting the fact that men and boys are also the victims of this kind of behavior. But right now we're talking about women and girls.
Because women and girls are more...
Right.
You know what? I really don't want to say more times than that, because right now, let's just say we're speaking on women's behalf.
Yeah, okay.
Because I don't want to minimize men.
Because we can start this, it's been going on for centuries. But we can go back to Anita Hill, where she was not believed. She was the nutty slut, if you will. She was delusional. She was making this up. She longed for Clarence Thomas. Let's go back to Bill Clinton, where all of those victims were, if you will, with the exception of Monica Lewinsky, which you will say, and has never tried to consider herself a victim. But again, all of those women were vilified. And now we're in this climate, in this age, and now we're believing everybody. So should we believe the victims of Bill Clinton? Should we believe Anita Hill? I always believed Anita Hill.
But this is where I stand as a victim of not just assault as a child, but even the types of incidents that we talk about when men try to kiss you in the mouth. That's really commonplace. I'm sorry to say that it happens more often than I would like to.
Who kissed besides Al Franken?
No. I'm saying I know women like myself.
Yes.
Where I go in for a cheek and a man has turned and kissed me in the mouth, and there's a lot of.
They're always slick.
They try to be slick, and that's kind of with this Al Franken, except he was a little quicker and dartier with the tongue. Maybe she didn't feel like me. I said, I would knock the hell out of her.
Let's talk about Kirsten Gillibrand, who has now come out and essentially thrown the Clintons under the bus. And she has been met with, at least by her own party in some respects, has been vilified and basically trying to say, well, why'd you take all their money all this time? And I think there's a distinction there. Is there a timing as to when you can throw someone under the bus?
Let me tell you like this. Mm-hmm. If someone abused another person, and I felt back then it was disgusting, as I did with Bill Clinton,
right.
And to the point that I could not associate myself with that person,
right.
I would feel it very hypocritical to be to take as much money as Jill Gillibrand did from the Clintons.
Hypocrisy or not, but it has to stand somewhere, because a lot of Democrats stood with the Clintons for a long period of time. Are we saying that now they may not be the worthy individuals?
I think we're all coming to a new place, because we got rid of Anthony Weiner on a snap. So he should have been. But what I'm saying is that as time has gone on, we are now. This is maybe the time that she's going to be able to say it and get some traction with it. Mm-hmm. I think right now it's convenient traction though.
Convenient or not, but I mean. That could also be said of some of the victims that have come forward.
But she's not a victim.
Oh, no, she's not a victim.
But
she's a politician.
She's a politician that's using a friend's, who was a friend, who was a large financier of her campaign, whose seat she now carries.
Right.
And now she wants to throw them under the bus for her own future.
You think?
Absolutely.
You think it's all about her?
I really do. I really do.
No one should. So who should, if the Clintons are to be thrown under the bus? You're saying it to be someone other than her.
I think if the issue
she
with
needs
the Clintons,
to remain silent.
No, I think the issue with the Clintons is not a secret. If everybody wants to revisit the Clinton issue,
the point is that she connected that with, because some people are calling for the removal of Al Franken.
I don't think it should be. No, I don't.
And she's tied that with the allegations against the 45th. trying to intimate.
Then take down.
Trying to intimate that if you take down
then
Al
you got to
Franken,
take down
the 45th,
and then you got to take down. You got to take down.
So there are many-
Supreme Court Justice Thomas.
Clarence Thomas.
You
Should
can't.
all of these people be removed?
Yes. So if we're going to go that far, you need to start slapping that face up off of Mount Rushmore
From that
of Thomas
standpoint, I
Jefferson.
think that we need to appreciate Gillibrand's statement, whether we think she's a hypocrite or not.
No, she's a hypocrite.
Well, whether we think she's a hypocrite or not, it has certain points. I think it's about time.
But the history,
Yeah,
the history goes back to Thomas Jefferson,
yeah.
and I think Sally Hemings was when she bore his first child was 16.
Well, that was a point in history. I'm not
So
saying
this is
anything.
but that's our history of this
Yeah.
country.
Right.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Sisters-in-Law. This week we're want to know when does it become hypocrisy for other women to talk about the past issues in America, and when is it just time to really have a conversation?
I think it's now. It's that time to have a conversation, and I don't necessarily think Gillibrand is a hypocrite. I think she was weak in the past, but nonetheless, Sarah, I think it's about time to sign off.
We thank you so much for joining us again here on Sisters-in-Law, and we will always be bringing you topics that are important to you in our society and not just the 45th. Thanks again, Sisters-in-Law, here on YouTube, on Instagram, and Twitter. Join us next week, Sunday, with Sisters
And Law.
Judge T.
Rosalind Charles.
Thank you.